Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our webinar on why Microsoft Dynamics has become the most frequently selected system in the membership world. So fantastic. So my name's Alan Reed. I'm an independent consultant in the membership sector. I've been around the membership sector since the late 1990s, and originally from a software supplier background. So I'm kind of old enough and gnarly enough to remember when people had what they called a database and did working around it rather than working within it. So we're excited to be talking about all of the changes. And by the way, when we planned this webinar, things like ChatGPT and OpenAI and so on weren't really a thing, 6 months ago, and now they're becoming built into Microsoft Office and becoming built into Dynamics 365. So we're really happy to be talking to you about that as we go through. There's a lot of change afoot, so the timing works out really, really well. Okay, so if we carry on from here, so I'm delighted to be joined by Leisha Foley. Leisha, do you mind introducing yourself? Is that okay?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So I'm a Dynamics consultant here at Smart Impact, and a huge part of my role is helping our customers get the most out of Microsoft and being sure that they're at the forefront of everything that Microsoft has to offer.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Leisha. Okay, so let's start off with a little bit of webinar etiquette. So first thing is we are recording the session, so any QA questions you drop in will also get recorded, but we'll also be sending the recording to everyone later along with the slide deck. So no need to sit there scribbling notes madly. Please use the chat option within Teams to post any questions about your own project. So we're doing a little bit of a Q&A session at the end. So please put your questions into the chat, and then we'll include those in the Q&A when we get in. So any questions about your own project or your own situation, feel free to drop them in there. And then we'll wrap up as many of those as we possibly can during the Q&A. So what we're going to be covering today is a little bit of background to membership and CRM. We're going to do that really fast. Who cares about the old days kind of thing, but it just helps set some context. And then what good looks like and what modern drivers are for membership bodies, and then what they're really demanding out of their modern engagement systems. So CRM plus and what good looks like these days. And then the future of membership CRM, which has become very significantly, including AI, over the last couple of months, and then the Q&A session. So what's changed with membership CRM projects? So first of all, going back to the very old days, let's call that from 2010 or so, or up to 2010 or so. What an awful lot of membership bodies looked like in terms of their systems was this: there would be a membership database, which would manage contacts. It would manage the basics of joining and renewals, and fundamentally it was for income processing and working out who's paid and who hasn't paid. But even up till 2010 or so, the reality is, of course, that most membership organizations cover a whole lot of ground outside of that. Members are ever more demanding. And need to have different areas of the relationship being managed. So what happened in response to that is that people started working around the systems to a really high extent. So because the older systems didn't do CPD very well, or didn't manage education and training very well, people would essentially manage contacts within the database and then manage a whole bunch of stuff in spreadsheets around the database, or they would manage it in separate systems entirely. So pretty much everything you needed to do, aside from type some data in and hit save, and hope that it was still there next day. Everything apart from that, you kind of had to do in self-defense yourself in other systems. So then what happened, of course, is that people recognized, hold on, we can't be working in spreadsheets. Everyone's doing everything in duplicate. Everyone's got, multiple poor business processes around that. And not only that, of course, members and other stakeholders were demanding to do more and more online. So what that led to was a whole proliferation of reactive investments where people would go and buy a CPD system with an online self-service CPD element, or an events management system with an online events booking system. And it led to a whole bunch of different specialized systems that did a bit of what membership bodies needed to do. And a lot of those had their online element to it. Now, the reality is, for a huge number of membership organizations, this is still kind of where they are. So this was quite a common position up until about 2015, maybe up to 2018 for some people who couldn't make the leap. But actually, there's still a proportion of the membership world who's still in this position. With we've done surveys where people have said, yes, we have up to kind of 10 and 12 bolt-on additional systems, all managing a bit of the member relationship, or having a bit of the members' data in there. And of course, what that then led to was a bunch of new problems that arose from having so many different systems and having so many different bits of the member spread like body parts around your organization. So first of all, just awful data. People having duplicates, having no real overview and insight into the people that you're dealing with, completely unable to be personalized and relevant to your members, unable to prove that you understand them so that you can prove the value of the member relationship to it. So vast amounts of emails going out with "Dear Bob" changing to "Dear Sarah," and that was essentially it. And that email essentially says, we don't really know you at all, but please carry on paying your membership renewals with us. What also tended to happen with that kind of picture, with multiple different systems and web portals, etc., is that the membership professionals, the membership staff, had to compensate for all of that by doing a lot of reconciling with data, a lot of manual bringing stuff together, all to try and pretend that they had a joined up view of the member relationship, and that people would type things in online, and then it would send an email to staff in the back office who would pretend it was a proper online integrated system and type it in themselves. So and still it wasn't enough to keep up with member demand. Another problem that came on with all of these bolt-on systems, that it turns out you need even more bolt-on systems. So it's not just a system per department. Then, of course, everyone's demanding marketing automation. Your members want to be able to engage through social channels, and you as a membership organization need to understand what your members are doing with your content through your social channels in order to see who your engaged members are and who's not listening, and so on. Ever more integrated websites, so you can have personalized content. And that led to more bolt-on middleware because the systems weren't properly talking to each other. And then analytics and reporting for business intelligence. So ever more systems leading to yet more problems. So bigger and bigger IT budgets, more and more technical debt, even worse data, no insight, and staff getting ever more stressed. And of course, in the real world, we're all modern digital consumers who are used to dealing with commercial companies who manage the relationship in a much slicker and more joined up way. So what happened after that, essentially, is there was a recognition this isn't working, and in response to that, there was the rise of what we tend to call platform systems. So there was the movement from this kind of model that we were just talking about towards this kind of model where, okay, there's an ecosystem of suppliers and technologies out there where there is a module for everything that we need. We need everything in one place. We need to have a single view of the truth, and we need to have all of that integrated and also online, so that people can update their own details and manage their own relationships. So essentially, most modern membership projects now recognize that everything needs to be in one place, and then that there are different audiences, members and supporters, staff, customers, and senior management, all demanding different views of the data, all demanding different ways to access the data, all demanding their own relationship and ways of managing that relationship. So there was a big improvement around 2015 or so. Dynamics came into the market around 2007, but really started to hit its stride around about 2013, 2014. But then also what happened was special providers then started adapting it for the membership world, because Dynamics natively doesn't do CPD. Dynamics natively doesn't do exams and education at all, or very well. So those specialist providers then started adapting it for the membership world. However, that didn't solve the problem fully, because actually around those back office systems with some online self-service, there's still the need for automation for marketing. There's still the need for comms and click-through rates on your campaign emails. There's still the need for BI and analytics and cloud hosting and being able to manage documents and so on. So until quite recently, there's still too many bolt-on systems that organizations are using, too many areas where data could be managed separately. So, and that's turned into the reason that these days, something like 7 out of 10 tender vendor selections, partner selections in the membership world now end up choosing Microsoft Dynamics as their solution. And there are 7 key reasons that we're going to go through and explaining why that is the case. And then we want to elaborate a little bit on why membership organizations are demanding this. So here are the 7 reasons across the top. And if we cover those off. So essentially, people have been talking about single view of the truth, forever. Every salesperson you'll ever meet talks about the 360-degree view, talks about, having this insight like it's a revelation you've never heard of. And the reason for that is because it is the single most important thing that you need out of your data and systems. So essentially, as we talked about, going from this, okay, we've got all these back office processes, how are we going to manage them? And moving towards this model where, okay, it is all in one place and all of our back office systems are supported and so on. But also what we need out of that is a childishly simple principle. This is the kind of religion that membership organizations have realized they need to live by. If you can achieve a comprehensive single view of the truth, then it empowers everything you do. Everything you do will enrich that single view of the truth. If you fail to achieve that model where all of your data is managed in one way, then you're forever fighting against it. It's forever hindering what you need to do. So, and in order to achieve that single view of the truth, it means a very childishly simple principle, which is that every single business process that your colleagues carry out in relation to your members and other stakeholders has to be supported in the system. Anything that's not supported, they'll break out and start a spreadsheet in self-defense to manage it. Also, every whisper of every kind of engagement that you have has to be supported and fully integrated. So you have to achieve those 2 things. Every business processes and every engagement has to be fully supported, or else people will start their own data sources. That's really how it all works. So that's why there's been a movement towards an environment where those things are true. All of your engagements and all of your business processes are supported. So then also there's been a recognition that engagement is multi-channel and 2-way. So if your systems are not supporting every way that your members want to talk to you, and every way that you want to talk to them, then inevitably it leads to bolt-on systems, and it leads to data loss and fragmentation. So of course, through the website has been around for many, many years, but it's becoming ever more sophisticated. So people expect when they come to your website that the website is personalized towards them. The news and the content and the list of events that are made available and the menu options are all personalized towards their areas of interest and not just a kind of generic spray and pray for everyone. These days, as we all know, people want to engage on different social channels. So if half of your members are running around on Facebook and LinkedIn and so on and talking about things professionally, not just privately, and you're not able to engage with that, then of course you're excluded from the conversation. We talk to membership organizations all of the time where their members have set up closed LinkedIn groups where the membership organization is not allowed in. You know, the conversation's happening elsewhere. So, you know, to get ahead of that, membership organizations then demand that their solutions like Dynamics has to have social listening built in so that you can broadcast and receive through those channels, phone integration, call popping, and auto dialing, and so on. Also being able to talk through apps like Teams, being able to talk through apps like WhatsApp. We're going to talk about that a little later. Making it as easy to people to engage through QR codes and jump to bits of the website that you want on their phones. All of that has to be supported. There's an increased SMS communication went down in popularity for a few years, but actually for charities particularly, it's now come shooting back up. SMS fundraising is now a huge and very active part of the market, but also SMS communications for things like events and you know, here's a survey for the event you attended yesterday, tell us what you thought of it. All of that going back into the CRM is now a fairly standard part of what organizations demand as part of their solution. Campaign email and tracking, as well as analytics and A/B testing and so on, make sure that your communications are relevant and personalized to the individual. And then, of course, people aren't in the office all of the time anymore, and your members are demanding app-based relationships, and your staff want to be able to manage the relationships wherever they are. So all of these things have become a fairly standard set of demands from people's membership solutions. Another thing that's become really clear is that if you're not satisfying your members, membership organizations have recognized, if you're not satisfying your members through all of these channels, they'll go off and engage with a whole bunch of free options that they have. And again, the membership body is excluded from the conversations. Something else that's been more and more prominent in demands for solutions and change over the last 10 years is the recognition that if your staff are not kind of rushing to their desks, whether at home or at work, with a glad cry of the morning and using these systems enthusiastically as part of their jobs, then everything else is a waste of time. So having things where staff are able and empowered by these systems is ever more important. So one of the reasons that Dynamics tends to be an easy choice for a lot of organizations is because people are already used to a lot of it. It's already, and modern Dynamics over the last few years is increasingly built into Office. Look, you really can't see where the Office links end and the Microsoft Dynamics joins start. So not scary, not intimidating, very empowering. The everything in one place, you know, constant surveys show us that what membership employees hate the most is having to jump between systems in order to do stuff. So having everything in one place makes that an awful lot easier. It's also a lot easier when it comes to getting access to data and having a look around the person or organization that you're dealing with. It also means that relatively casual users who might need to, you know, only look at a thing once every week or every month or every year for senior management maybe, don't need to kind of relearn it every time they do that. It's all very familiar. Little or no training required. We've all had people saying, you know, I demand everything, but I haven't got a minute to absorb any training. Well, the huge investment in the user interface has meant that has become less and less of a problem, and it's much more feasible to just push it back on the individual and say, look, you are paid to be here, and it's perfectly reasonable for you to familiarize yourself with this yourself. But the really big one in terms of UI is this one: access to your own data. There used to be this massive separation that systems were fine at letting you type it in and save it. But when it came to you saying, oh, give me a list of these, or how many people are in this position, or can I email everyone in that position, you always had to go off and queue up with a muffin at someone else's desk and get them to do it for you, which means, all the momentum is lost and people might not do it at all. So one of the main things that people have rushed towards the Dynamics platform for is access to your own data. So Microsoft has spent huge, vast sums of money in making this easy, non-technical, so people can get their listings very easily, they can get their filtering very easily, they can get hold of their own data with drag and drop and so on, just from a business point of view, with no technical skills being required at all. And then I want to carry on from there. I'm going to ask Leisha, if you don't mind, could you carry on talking about some of the other elements here that make up the reasons people are choosing Dynamics more and more? Is that okay?
Okay, so I'm going to continue talking a little bit about supplier investment roadmap and what you can expect to see in the future from Microsoft and from us also. So here we have Microsoft release plans, which tells us what's coming down the line in terms of investment. So as we see here, there's quite a bit: 15 upcoming features, 11 coming soon, and 26 are available to try now. So you might see in some of your systems that you have the option to turn on preview features where you can try these new things out of your test systems. Okay, so in terms of digital commerce, we have things like paying in different ways, keeping up with the latest methods to pay and things like that. Data and AI, of course, we're all very familiar with Power BI, but you might have noticed that Power BI is becoming more and more integrated with many different products. So we have Power BI as the standalone app, but also we can use Power BI directly from the CRM system, and also it can automatically make reports where then you have to go and make the reports yourself and things like that. So that's constantly ongoing as well. And this is probably the most recent one is the advent of Copilot and leveraging AI across the different systems. You might have seen this a lot in the news. Microsoft has made a 10 billion investment in AI, and it's really pushing this forward. And I guess one of the biggest advantages is that Microsoft has that investment behind it, whereas many smaller smaller software providers may not have that advantage. Okay, and then in terms of choosing your partner, so it's all very well and good Microsoft having this available. However, if your partner is not bringing this to you, is not pushing you forward with this, you're not going to be reaping the benefits of it. So what really matters in a partner is that they're communicating this with you, and they're ensuring you're aware of it, so you at least have the option to use some of it, what suits you best. But it really should be the partner working with you, ensuring that you are at the forefront of this also. So really hard work, and it's about us succeeding with you also. And then we need to be the expert in this. So you should be relying on us as your partner for knowing all of these things, and we should be your first point of contact if you want to introduce any of these new things into your system, and if you require any information on what's the latest in terms of Microsoft also. And then also here are modules as well, so we can use these across your systems, completely integrated with Microsoft as well. And these are some of our key different differentiators that only we offer and that you can use for all of your systems also. So we need to provide you with the expert guidance and be constantly adding value to you. And so you don't get left behind. and you're taking advantage of everything that is available for you. So we're constantly improving your system, and that leads us to the evergreen status that we're looking for. Okay, so a full ecosystem. So Alan spoke about earlier in the presentation how everything kind of used to be siloed, used to be all these bolt-on systems, things like that, which made things extremely difficult, and it led to a lot of manual processes also. So it's completely different now. And as you can see here, we have all these ERP solutions, and they're all completely integrated together. So they're built off the same platform. So in terms of integration and sharing data across different areas in the system, it's all seamless. So you prevent any, messing with data exports, data imports, data getting lost, having Excel sheets in different places. And it's all integrated across now. And it doesn't mean that you have to use all of these. You can choose the ones that suit you best, switch them on, switch them off, and only pay for what you need and what you're using, of course. And it makes it all a lot easier in terms of managing security, because we can assign security roles to different users, so they only have access to the areas that they need also. And again, the key benefit here is that it's all everything is in the one place. So there's no duplication of effort, there's no duplication of data, and it makes everything much easier to manage as a whole.
So what I wanted to talk about just really briefly as well, in terms of why people have tended to, we're seeing that something like 7, and it's increasing to kind of 8 out of 10 tenders in the membership world are tending to go towards Dynamics, and that's across a range of suppliers. It's not just obviously what your relationship is really with your supplier organization, Smart Impact or another. So there are a dozen different suppliers of greater and lesser experience in the marketplace, but between them, they account for some 7 or 8 out of 10 of the selection processes going on. So one of the reasons for that is something that people are trying to get away from and move towards. So in traditional projects, this is how the budgeting used to work. In year one of the kind of project, let's just look at a kind of project replacement cycle. In year one, what would happen was that people would say, things are incredibly awful. We can't carry on like this anymore. We have to go and replace our systems. The supplier's letting us down. This technology is old. It doesn't fit our business anymore. So people would go out to market, spend a huge amount of money, and then spend a year and a half implementing this new system. And even if you implemented it, within a year, it really takes about a year and a half minimum to start getting the benefits out of a system. And then during that year 1 to year 3, your management team are consumed with the project. Everyone's stressed. There's a period of high risk. It might work, it might not work. Fights with suppliers and so on. And then your budget would go down. And this is part of the problem, actually. In years 3, 4, 5, and 6, people are so kind of broke and exhausted that they stop spending on the systems. The suppliers can't generally afford, smaller organizations, independent suppliers, they can't generally afford to invest on all fronts, whether it's social listening and personalized engagement, or AI and reporting, whatever it is. So those membership organizations are still having to go out and buy bolt-on systems, which leads to the same problems of data silos and fractionalization of data and so on. And then all of that eventually becomes intolerable. And then in about whatever it is, year 7, some keep on with this intolerable position for 5 years after that and go to year 12 or whatever it is. But eventually, the average is about 5 or 6 years. The organization goes, right, I need to go to market again. So, for instance, if people on this webinar are thinking about their replacement projects, there's a reasonable chance that they last replaced the system somewhere between 2015 and 2018. Now they're at the point of intolerance again. We can't tolerate this anymore. And then, they're going to go through the same journey again, up to 2 years of disruption, massive expenditure, period of risk, and so on. So obviously that's undesirable for all sorts of ways, and for all sorts of reasons, not including, not just the ones that where the project fails outright. So what's happened now, and what more membership organizations want to go to, is this more evolutionary model. So the blue line is still the old model, just showing how it used to be, but the brown line is essentially what modern project investment looks like these days. So there's still the big upheaval where you're going from your older system, and 15 different bolt-on systems and 15 different silos and 30 different spreadsheets, and making that transition to your Dynamics platform, what should be your forever home. But then after that, there's a continual process of investment where you spend some money every year. Maybe you take on cloud hosting, maybe you take on, Microsoft marketing or whatever it is. And some of those investments, it's in consulting and, help because the software is free. And sometimes it's a chargeable module, but the chargeable modules, it's kind of, the cost is much smaller than going off and buying another third-party piece of software and then integrating it and then compensating for all of that. So people are looking for that kind of forever home model where they can invest not only in the system, but in their own staff becoming ever more expert, in their own control and management of their own data, and of course not having to have all of these separate bolt-on systems and suppliers. As you do need to step into something new, it's available to you. So even if you only need 10% of it, we all use 1% of Excel, etc. But when you do need it, it's there, and you don't have to have this massive upheaval when it comes to it. But the current advice tends to be that you should be spending, depending on your size and budget, a reasonable amount of money on your ongoing improvement and continuous investment program with your systems to avoid that enormous upheaval and falling behind with your members and what their members' expectations are. And so with that, I'll hand back to Leisha, if I may, to talk about what the latest elements are with Dynamics, which will then reinforce why people are tending to choose it as their solution.
Thank you, Alan. So I'm going to speak to you a little bit about Microsoft Dynamics and its latest features. So we're going to touch on Copilot. We're going to look at social, more integrations, insights, and increased automation also. So this is just some of the latest features, and we're going to demonstrate an example of them to you now. So let me first begin with Microsoft Copilot. So I'm sure you've all heard of ChatGPT, and so it's Microsoft's investment, and it's really blown up now. And the big advantage for you if you use Microsoft products is that Microsoft has now integrated ChatGPT across all of its products now in Copilot. So what that means for you is that you can use ChatGPT benefits when you're like writing documents, if you want to create tasks, if you want to use a natural language to create some customer segments in marketing, and if you want to produce marketing content also. So all of this can be done using Copilot, and you never have to leave the application. So if you want to use ChatGPT and all of its power, you can use that within Microsoft Dynamics itself. So let me just show you a few examples of this. So this is how it can be used to generate marketing text content. So you can just choose the attributes that you want mentioned in the marketing text. You can emphasize if it wants to be innovative, should it be creative? Do you want a more balanced one? Do you want more direct communication? You can choose the style and the format, and it will generate the text for you itself. And then of course, you can use this in your marketing emails or any marketing content on your website and things like that. Of course, it's completely editable by you as well, so it suits you. It still has the human elements to it as well. It's not all just automated. But these are coming down the line, and we really recommend that you begin to use them, because there are a lot of benefits to them. And if you start now, you can slowly build that, and you'll find that it actually contributes a lot and reduces a lot of effort on your behalf as well. So this is another example. So for your customer service, so for example, a member might be inquiring about an issue or have a question for you. So we can also leverage Copilot to generate responses. So what Copilot will do, it will read the incoming question from the member, and it will search all previous responses to similar questions, and then it will come back to you as the customer service agent with all previous responses to that question. And then you have them, this is all happens in milliseconds. And then you will have all of those responses right in front of you to respond back to the customer themselves. So you don't have to go looking for information, or you don't have to go to a knowledge base or anything like this trying to find the answer. And Copilot does all of that for you, and it runs through all of the existing data and previous responses also. And again, this can be as automated or as human controlled as you like. So if you want to send out automated responses to some very basic questions that you get all of the time, sometimes it's nice, and then it can be a second line of support if the question is more convoluted, and it only gets pushed to a customer service agent in that case. So this reduces having to have many customer service agents answering very basic questions, and the queries will only be pushed to a customer service agent if the question is very unique and you never heard it before, or something like that. So it increases efficiency all across pretty much. And one of the best parts about this is that it will constantly improve over time. So the more that customer service agents are answering, you're constantly building on the database also, and you will find more and more questions can be automatically answered than before. Again, so this is quite a simple one as well. So this is just a basic email response, but we can also draft it with Copilot as well. You can choose a tone, you can adjust it yourself, and things like that, and you can choose also to edit it if you want it or not. So this will of course reduce the amount of time that you spend writing emails as a whole, and then you can choose whether you want to use this or you want to write your own and things like that also. So essentially, it reads the incoming email and then it generates a response off of that. Okay, so that's enough with the slides. I want to show you some Copilot in action on Edge. I don't know if any of you use Edge, but with the latest release, we actually have this. And so a lot of Copilot is still in preview, and it's being used in North America and being tested by some organizations. So it'll be soon be available for you in Dynamics, but at the moment I can show you it in Edge. So let me just share this. Don't mind, that's just the news homepage. And if you see over here on the right-hand side of the screen, this is my little Copilot window here. So it opens if I just click this Bing icon here. Okay, so I can choose the tone of the responses that I want, and I can type my questions in here. So more creative, more balanced, more precise. And then I can type it in here. So let me show you an example of this. Okay, so I've just asked that what are the benefits of a CRM system for membership organizations. So Copilot is using ChatGPT now to scan and look for answers to this, and hopefully it will generate us an answer. Okay, so this is quite a lot. Software helps us accurate and updated data and things like that. And you can do many different things with this, such as you can ask it, make the answer a little bit more brief, make it more marketing, make it more advertising aligned, and things like that also. So let me just show you. So I want to shorten the answer because that's much too long. And I want to send it to a bunch of people who don't want to read that much text. Okay, so you see that it's clever enough to understand what I mean, and then it gives me a shorter answer, very straightforward. And let's ask it some more questions. And of course, the questions don't just have to be about Theorem or Microsoft or membership organizations, but that kind of suits today. And then just take a little bit to search, and then it will generate it for you. And then I want to put in the last one: why do membership organizations benefit from artificial intelligence? Let's see what it tells us. Because this is essentially what you will be using. You'll be using AI across all of the dynamics, and it's really there to help you and reduce any effort that's unneeded. So it can help you enhance your membership engagement, streamline administrative processes, expand your networking opportunities, deliver data-driven insights, and much more than that. So I think you kind of get the picture of that. So I'm going to go back to my slides now. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a little bit about WhatsApp for Dynamics 365 also. So a huge part, especially in terms of targeting younger audience as well, WhatsApp is definitely a better option than email, because a lot of communications can get lost in email, sent to junk folders and things like that, whereas WhatsApp is a lot easier to use, a lot more instant, and a lot more engaging as well. Okay, so what can you do with WhatsApp integration? Well, you can broadcast all of your communications via WhatsApp. You can use it in marketing, so it can be another one of your marketing channels. So if you want to set up a customer journey or something like that, you can send it via email, but via WhatsApp as well, via SMS, and so on. So it can be used in line with that. You can also use it for customer service. And so I will show you in a moment how WhatsApp can be used to raise cases in the system. And then you can reply via WhatsApp, but using Dynamics 365 as well. So the members on WhatsApp, you're replying from the Dynamics customer service system, and you're communicating it that way. And also it's very useful for surveys. So if you want to collect any member feedback, you can send out your survey via WhatsApp, and they can reply instantly, and you're much more likely to actually get a response, because it's a lot easier for the member to respond via WhatsApp. Okay, so this is an example of how you can use WhatsApp with customer service. So this is just a screenshot of a WhatsApp conversation. The member just types in hi, and then an automated response telling them an agent will be with them in a moment. And then from the customer service agent side, this is how they see customer service in Dynamics itself. So a WhatsApp request pops up in the system, and they can choose whether they have time to respond, and then they can accept or reject the conversation itself. And then here is just the chat. So the WhatsApp is what the member sees, so they're typing in responses, and then the customer service agent can manage all of this from Dynamics 365 itself. Okay, also in terms of marketing, as we can see here, WhatsApp can be used in the customer journey as well. It's just another channel of communication, really. If it suits you, if you're not getting a response from an email or something like that, you might want to try WhatsApp, and it's completely integrated with this as well. Okay, and then lastly, this is an example of a marketing email. And if you see on the right-hand side, we have something called content ideas. So this is coming very soon for you also. And it's whereby when you're designing your marketing email, and you know what you want, but you don't have the content itself. So Microsoft would automatically generate content for you, or at least suggestions. So you just type in the key points that you want to get across in your marketing email, and the tone of voice if you want it to be engaged, creative, fun, whatever you want. And then if you click on the get ideas, it will come up with some content suggestions for you as well. So this is also leveraging AI, but in a more of a marketing creative sense. Okay, and that's everything I wanted to talk to you about. I'll hand back over to Alan now.
Great, thank you. So thanks for that, Leisha. It's yeah, we've picked exciting times for stuff that's changing. So what we wanted to talk about, just summarize really briefly. We've had some questions come in on the Q&A. Feel free to drop in any questions you've got in the chat just while I'm talking about these last bits, and we'll get to those as well. So first, we thought we'd summarize with what modern membership bodies should be demanding. If you're going to tender now, if you're thinking of what you should be expecting from your current supplier. So let's just summarize that. So essentially, the goal is of course to be the most enabled version of yourselves. To be the organization that can best service your members, best prove the value that you offer to your members, and deliver on your organizational goals. So what are the things that are really fundamental to achieving that in terms of your systems and engagement? So first of all, when organizations are going to tender now, what I advise them on with that is to be demanding, and expect that pretty much everything you need should be available as part of the ecosystem that you're going to be buying. You shouldn't be looking to buy another bolt-on system and leave all of these other systems in place. You don't have to do the change on day one or even year one, but you should be able to see as soon as you're buying this new thing that there is a roadmap towards creeping out and absorbing these other separate bolt-on systems, so that you're getting rid of that technology overhead and getting rid of all of these third-party systems and reducing down to the smallest number of genuine partner suppliers that you can. So going back to that childishly simple principle of every business process, every type of engagement needs to be supported in your systems, or else people break out in self-defense. So be demanding about that right from the start. So everything your business needs in one place should be the foundation of what membership organizations are looking for. The second thing is, we've talked a little bit about software and suppliers, but the reality is of keeping something that's going to be relevant to you and to make to keep working for you as a piece of software or data and engagement tools. The reality is that you're going to want to do most of the adaptation yourself. So you're going to want to be able to adapt, of course, most content yourself, decision-making emails that put this paragraph in or put that paragraph in, depending on what they find in the member's record, personalized websites and so on, with a different landing page for someone who's been a member for years versus someone who's joined in the last 10 minutes. So you need to be in a position to adapt and control that yourselves. So one of the most important things I say when advising people these days is making sure that you're satisfied that you have independent control of the solution. And there isn't that old-fashioned thing of every time you want something, you have to go back to the supplier, because the fact is, you won't, and then it all stagnates, and then you're into that loop of replacement. So, that independent control we see as being just vital. So then the next thing is a forever home, essentially, something that should not evolve upheaval every few years. So make sure that everything you can possibly imagine and some of the things you can't imagine yourselves getting into. So some people on this webinar will be saying, well, we're never really going to, communicate with our members via WhatsApp. Or I don't see myself, having any kind of machine assistance on responding to member queries. That's fine, and that's perfectly legitimate. But it's helpful to understand that those areas are there anyway, that you can plug into. Even if there's a cost attached, the cost is vastly less than buying separate stuff or having development done for you. So just making sure that there's a huge path around what you immediately need that you're satisfied that you're not going to outgrow the system, and make sure that it's something you can continue to invest in, and your colleagues can continue to develop their knowledge about. And then finally, it is as much about the supplier as the software, and that means the genuine added value partnership. The reality is, I don't think I'm exaggerating. I think something like a quarter of Smart Impact's Dynamics clients have come from other Dynamics organizations. So they basically said, oh, this isn't working, we need to change. They've stuck with the software, and then they've said, we need a new partner, and that's where they've then gone and selected this new partner. And the reality is that, particularly going back a few years, a lot of organizations thought, oh, I can knock up screens in minutes in Dynamics, and generic suppliers went into the membership world without understanding just how complicated the membership world really is. Education is genuinely complicated. Different forms of membership and improvements to membership are genuinely complicated, CPD, online engagement, etc. So making sure that your organization that you're considering working with has done it lots and lots of times before, and with organizations pretty much exactly like you, and is providing ambition and guidance to you, is always challenging you to do new stuff, is always challenging you to take on new ways of working, whether you choose to or not. But it should be as easy as possible, and that should always be right in front of you. So those are the four key points that we find will allow you to do a project once and then continually improve on it without that awful process of being eaten alive every few years, and in between those periods always being behind the rest of the market and worry that you're not able to deliver to what your members are demanding. So really, that's it. And then I think it would be great to get into the Q&A. So we've had some really good questions in the chat. So I'm just going to read out some of those, if I may. So first of all, I've got my Dynamics supplier does not upgrade us automatically. Is this normal? Could I get your thoughts on that, Leisha, please?
Yeah, so this is normal. So all upgrades are completely controlled. So we would usually deploy an upgrade to your test systems first. Your test system, of course, is a replica of your live system. So we can ensure that everything still works. To ensure business continuity, we test all of your processes and things like that. And then once we're happy with it, and we also switch it on in your live system, so it's free for you to use then. If you wish, we could also include any training depending on the type of upgrade it is and the features that come along with that. Some features are very simple. Some of them you might want a little bit of extra training on that.
Great, thank you. And it really is not normal that you should not be asked to upgrade. Well, I have come across organizations even using Dynamics that are 4 and 5 years out of date. So just because it's got Dynamics written on it doesn't mean that it's automatically upgraded. And by the way, that's one of the main reasons people move away from suppliers. And then they say, oh, we need to be on the latest version of Office or something. That means a change to Dynamics. And then they're given this huge bill, and it's treated like this massive upheaval and project. So your supplier should be keeping you up to date, and actually always saying, do you want this module? Do you want this thing? And making that as easy as possible for you. The next question was, what should be chargeable and not chargeable when it comes to upgrades? Typically, just really briefly, if you've already got a module, then it's part of your upgrade forever. But when you want to step into something brand new, then of course that will typically be chargeable. And then there's a question here, which is how easy is it to change your Dynamics supplier without starting again? Now, various salespeople will say, oh, one of the benefits of going to a solution with lots of different potential partners is that you can change anytime you like. The reality is it's pretty tough to change partners. most partners won't want to take on each other's code, so they'll, a lot of it will have to be changed and moved onto their more productized solution. This is why it's vitally important when you're choosing your partner that you're looking at them, as a forever partner just as much as you are with the software. It's easier to move from Dynamics to Dynamics. There's no question about that. But it's still, there's a relevant, reasonable amount of upheaval when it comes to that. And then I'll just do one other question, which is, what are the differences between Dynamics and Salesforce? And I'm happy to get your thoughts on this as well, Leisha. But one of the main differences, in practical terms, historically, Salesforce did more work in the charity sector than in the membership sector. So up until about 2018 or so, the majority of projects in the charity world where they were going for a platform-like solution, the charities were choosing Salesforce, and then the membership world has always chosen Dynamics more. And what's happened in recent years is that Dynamics is getting chosen more in the charity world, and that's because of the rise of things like Microsoft Marketing, and because charities are all about campaigns and high volume fundraising and automatic personalization, and has continued the dominance in the Dynamics has continued the dominance in the membership world. One of the main differences tends to be that it's about the supplier ecosystem. Actually, the software is always in a kind of arms race. Every 6 months, new releases are coming out, and at the moment, Dynamics is ahead on things like AI, which is going to become root and branch fundamental. But actually, what makes the biggest difference is the ecosystem of suppliers. And the fact is that in the membership world, there is more of an ecosystem of really experienced suppliers who've been doing it for 10 and 15 years, who really know the membership world inside out, and therefore, can make the difference between success and failure on your project. One other small difference is that Salesforce, you always have, you tend to buy the services from a supplier and the software from Salesforce themselves, which means there's a split relationship there that doesn't always work as well as it should. With Microsoft, they have the reseller model, so your entire relationship with your supplier, with Microsoft as a backstop if you need it. And that tends to be a much simpler relationship to navigate, with the responsibility for things working being really clear with your Microsoft partner. Leisha, did you want to add anything to that, or is that all okay?
Yeah, no, that's all okay.
Fantastic. And then we had another question from Andrew Berry, who said that with the changes that are coming through on AI, does that mean that your business data is available to ChatGPT? And there's two bits of that answer, actually. And Leisha, I'm going to ask you to contribute. You know a lot more about it than I. But just in business terms, in terms of ChatGPT or the Copilot, actually, Microsoft implementation, suggesting comment suggestions to your own staff and giving responses to your staff and to individual members, your data is available to your own internal representation of Copilot to give you a more personalized version of your content, but it's never made available to anyone outside. It doesn't become part of the vast well of data that the AI has to support other membership organizations, etc. But it does allow you to have more nuanced responses within your organization. Is that your view as well, Leisha? Do you want to add to that at all?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. So you will never be there will never be data leaked from your CRM system to ChatGPT. So when I was showing you customer service, for example, yeah, that's all held internally, as Alan said, to be shared across users, and that's even further secured by users' security roles as well. So security roles determine the data that users in your organization can and cannot see, and that will also apply in the case of Copilot also.
Great, and that takes us to the bang on 10:30. So I'll just mention, if I may, that we have other webinars always coming up. So please, we'll send you the slides, we'll send you the video of the content, but please always keep an eye on the webinars page. There's always new things coming up. And Leisha, just over to you to wrap up, if that's okay.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining today. If you have any questions, here is my email, and please do not hesitate to get in touch.
Fantastic. Thanks for your time, everybody. I look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Thanks all.